My grandfather rode a bicycle every single day until he was 73 years old. Not because he had to, because he loved it. And then one day his knees decided they had a different opinion about the whole arrangement. And that was pretty much that. He parked the bike, and it sat in his garage collecting dust for 4 years. Then my cousin showed up with an e-bike, let him try it for 10 minutes around the block, and the man cried. Actual tears. Because he thought that part of his life was over, and it turned out it was not. If you are over 60 and you think your best riding days are behind you, this video is going to change your mind completely. Why 60 is actually the perfect age to start riding an e-bike. All right, let us get something out of the way immediately because there is a narrative floating around in cycling circles that e-bikes are somehow cheating, that they are for people who cannot handle a real bike anymore, that they are a consolation prize handed to riders who have lost a step and need something to soften the blow. And honestly, that narrative does not just miss the mark, it misses it by about a mile. We are going to dismantle it right now because it is keeping people off bikes that could genuinely change their lives. E-bikes are not a lesser version of cycling. They are a smarter version of cycling. And for riders over 60 specifically, they are transformative in a way that is genuinely difficult to put into words until you have actually experienced it for yourself. Here is what actually happens inside the human body as we move through our 60s and beyond. Joint mobility decreases, sometimes gradually, sometimes faster than we would like. Recovery time after physical effort gets longer, which means the hard ride that used to bounce back from overnight now takes 3 days to properly clear. The cardiovascular system still works and still benefits enormously from exercise, but it needs more support to sustain real effort over longer distances. Muscle mass naturally declines without specific and consistent resistance training to counteract the process. And balance, particularly in dynamic situations like navigating uneven pavement, reacting to a sudden stop, or holding a line on a descent, can become less automatic and less reliable than it felt at 40. Now here is what none of that means. It does not mean you stop riding. It does not mean your best days on a bike are behind you. It does not mean you accept a smaller life because your body is asking for a little more consideration than it used to. What it means is that you ride smarter. And an e-bike is precisely the tool that makes riding smarter not just possible, but genuinely enjoyable. The pedal assist system on a quality e-bike does something that sounds simple but is actually remarkable in practice. It does not remove the exercise. Research has consistently shown that e-bike riders achieve cardiovascular benefit that is comparable to conventional cyclists, largely because they tend to ride for longer durations and cover greater distances than they would without the assist. What the motor actually removes is the punishing peaks of effort that beat your body up and make you pay for the ride for days afterward. The brutal hill that used to shred your knees, the long exposed flat into a headwind that used to leave you completely spent before you had even turned for home. The final few miles of a longer ride when your energy reserves are gone and every pedal stroke feels like an argument. The assist smooths all of that out and replaces it with something that feels sustainable, manageable, and honestly pretty great. And for riders over 60, feeling great when you get home matters more than people realize. Because feeling great when you get home means you actually want to go again tomorrow. That is the whole game right there. So no, this is not cheating. This is engineering doing exactly what engineering is supposed to do. Now let us talk about what to look for. What actually makes an e-bike comfortable for riders over 60? This is where a lot of buying guides completely miss the mark. They list bikes by price or by motor wattage or by brand recognition, and they completely ignore the factors that actually determine whether a 65-year-old rider is going to enjoy their experience or spend the whole ride wishing they were somewhere else. Comfort on an e-bike is not one thing. It is a collection of things that work together, and if any one of them is wrong for your body, the whole experience suffers. So before we get into specific bike recommendations, let us talk about what to look for. The first factor is frame geometry. This is probably the most important and the most overlooked. The geometry of the frame determines your riding position, which determines what your back, neck, shoulders, hips, and wrists are doing for the entire duration of your ride. An aggressive, forward-leaning geometry that puts your weight over the front wheel is fantastic for a 25-year-old who wants to go fast. For a rider over 60, it is a recipe for neck pain, wrist strain, and a sore lower back that lasts 3 days. What you want is an upright geometry that keeps your spine in a neutral position and distributes your weight comfortably between your hands, seat, and feet. Step-through frames, which allow you to mount and dismount without swinging your leg over a high top tube, are particularly valuable for riders with any hip stiffness or limited flexibility. The second factor is saddle quality. The seat that comes stock on most e-bikes is not designed for leisurely, long-distance riding. It is designed to be light and inoffensive to the widest possible demographic. For a rider prioritizing comfort, upgrading to a wider, more cushioned saddle appropriate to their sight bone width is often one of the highest return improvements you can make. Some bikes on our list come with genuinely good saddles from the factory. Most do not, but the ones that do represent real thoughtfulness on the part of the manufacturer. The third factor is suspension. Specifically, how well the bike absorbs road vibration and impact. A rigid fork on a poorly surfaced road sends every bump directly up through your wrists, arms, and shoulders. A quality front suspension fork with appropriate travel absorbs that energy before it reaches you. Some bikes add a suspension seat post as well, which addresses vibration coming up from below. If you have any history of back issues, wrist problems, or joint sensitivity, suspension is not optional. It is essential. The fourth factor is motor placement and assist feel. Hub motors, which sit in the wheel, and mid-drive motors, which sit at the crank, both have merit. But for comfort riding specifically, a mid-drive motor with a torque sensor tends to deliver the most natural and intuitive assist feel. It reads how hard you are actually pedaling and adds proportional support, rather than just switching on at a fixed level the moment it detects pedal movement. For riders who want the experience to feel like enhanced cycling rather than electric propulsion, this distinction matters a great deal. The fifth factor is handlebar height and reach. Handlebars that are too low force you to lean forward. Handlebars that are too far away stretch your arms and strains your shoulders. For comfortable upright riding, you want bars that sit at roughly seat height or slightly above, with a reach that lets your elbows have a slight bend rather than being locked out straight. Many quality comfort e-bikes have adjustable stems that let you dial this in perfectly for your specific dimensions. Now, with all of that in mind, let us get into the bikes. The best comfort e-bikes for riders. Over 60, number 1. Specialized Turbo Como 5.0. If comfort e-bikes were a school, the Specialized Turbo Como would be teaching the advanced classes. Specialized has been building bicycles since 1974, and that depth of experience shows in everything about how this bike is designed and assembled. The Como 5.0 has an upright geometry that positions your body in what feels like the most natural seated riding position imaginable. The swept-back handlebars bring your hands up and toward you rather than pushing them out forward, which means your shoulders stay relaxed and your wrists stay in a neutral position for the entire ride. The integrated Mastermind display is intuitive enough that you do not need a manual to figure it out, which sounds like a small thing, but genuinely matters when you are out on a ride and want to adjust your assist level without stopping and squinting at confusing menus. The motor is Specialized's own 245-watt Future Shock integrated unit, and the assist delivery is among the smoothest you will find at any price point. No lurching, no sudden power surges. Just a consistent, confidence-inspiring push that makes hills feel manageable and headwinds feel like a minor inconvenience rather than a full workout. The Future Shock suspension built into the front of the frame rather than a traditional fork is genuinely clever engineering. It absorbs road vibration before it can travel up through the bars to your hands and wrists, which on longer rides makes a noticeable difference. This is a premium bike with a premium price to match, but if budget allows, it is one of the very best options on this entire list. Number 2. Trek Verve Plus. Trek is another brand with decades of credibility behind it, and the Verve Plus 4 is their answer to the question of what a genuinely grown-up comfort e-bike looks like. And the answer, it turns out, is pretty impressive. The Verve Plus 4 runs a Bosch Active Line Plus motor, which is a name that comes up repeatedly in conversations about comfort and reliability in e-bikes for good reason. Bosch motors are consistent well supported, and have a track record that newer brands simply cannot match yet. The motor pairs with a Bosch Purion display that keeps things clean and simple, because not everyone wants a touchscreen dashboard on their bicycle. Sometimes simple is exactly right. The geometry is relaxed and upright. The standard saddle is genuinely comfortable out of the box, which Trek deserves credit for because a lot of manufacturers phone that particular component in. The integrated rear rack and fender package means this bike is genuinely ready to use as a transportation tool from the moment you take it out of the box without needing to source accessories separately. Battery range is solid, delivering real-world range that covers the kinds of distances most recreational and fitness riders over 60 are actually covering. Trek's dealer network is also worth mentioning because having a local shop that knows your bike and can service it properly is something that matters more the longer you own the bike. Number 3, Rad Power, Rad City, 5+. Rad Power has democratized e-bikes for the American market more than arguably any other single brand, and the Rad City 5+ is their flagship comfort commuter. It is considerably less expensive than the Specialized and Trek options above, and for a lot of riders, it delivers 90% of the experience at a significantly lower price point. The step-through version is particularly worth discussing for riders over 60 because it offers a low standover height that makes mounting and dismounting completely stress-free regardless of hip flexibility. You essentially walk up to the bike and sit down rather than performing any kind of athletic maneuver just to get started, which sounds trivial until you have spent a winter with stiff hips and suddenly appreciate it enormously. The Rad City 5+ uses a rear hub motor with a cadence sensor rather than a torquey sensor, which means the assist feel is slightly more on-off than the Specialized or Trek options. It is noticeable if you are coming from a torque sensor bike. It is completely manageable if this is your first e-bike. The hydraulic disc brakes provide confident stopping power in all weather conditions, which is not something you want to compromise on at any age. Rad Power's direct-to-consumer model keeps the price accessible, and their customer support has improved considerably over the past couple of years. A genuinely excellent option for riders who want quality and comfort without the premium price tag. Number 4, Gazelle Ultimate C380 HMB. Now here is one that a lot of American riders have not encountered yet, and that is a genuine shame because Gazelle is arguably the most sophisticated comfort e-bike manufacturer in the world. They are a Dutch company, and the Netherlands is a country that takes cycling more seriously than perhaps anywhere else on Earth, which means Dutch bike engineers have been thinking about rider comfort and long-term usability for generations. The Ultimate C380 HMB is an extraordinary machine. The Enviolo continuously variable hub transmission means there are no gears to shift in the traditional sense. You simply turn a handlebar grip, and the resistance adjusts smoothly across a massive range without ever needing to click through individual gear positions. For riders with hand stiffness or any degree of grip weakness, this is genuinely life-changing compared to a conventional indexed shifting system. The Bosch Performance Line motor delivers assist that is both powerful and completely natural in feel. The Gates Carbon Drive belt system, instead of a traditional chain, means virtually zero maintenance, no chain grease on your clothing, and a drivetrain that runs quietly and cleanly for tens of thousands of miles. The integrated lighting, full fenders, rear rack, and kickstand come standard. This bike arrives ready for real life, not as a starting point for a parts sourcing project. It is expensive, it is worth it. And for a rider who wants the absolute pinnacle of day-to-day comfort and usability, it belongs at the top of any serious shortlist. Number 5, Cannondale Movaro Neo. 5 Cannondale is a brand that has historically been associated with performance road and mountain bikes, which makes the Movaro Neo somewhat of an unexpected entry in the comfort category. But they have clearly done their homework here because this bike is exceptionally well sorted for the kind of riding that prioritizes enjoyment over speed. The upright geometry is genuinely relaxed without feeling like you are riding a park bench. There is enough athleticism in the position that riders who come from a more active cycling background will not feel like they have given anything up, while still being comfortable enough for people who prioritize long time in the saddle over aggressive performance. That balance is harder to strike than it sounds, and Cannondale manages it well. The Molly e-bike motion rear hub motor is quiet to the point of being almost imperceptible, which some riders love because it makes the assist feel completely seamless. You just pedal and the bike responds. The integrated battery keeps the frame looking clean and uncluttered, which matters for riders who appreciate a bike that does not look like it has had a bunch of technology bolted onto it as an afterthought. Number 6. Electrotownie Go 7D. The Electrotownie deserves a special mention on this list because it was specifically engineered around a concept called flat-foot technology, and for riders over 60, that concept is actually very significant. Flat-foot technology means the bike's geometry positions you so that you can place your feet flat on the ground while seated. Not tiptoe, not a half stretch. Flat feet, full contact, complete confidence when stopped. For riders who have any balance concerns or who have experienced the slightly unnerving sensation of not being able to get a foot down quickly at a red light, this design philosophy is genuinely reassuring in a practical, everyday way. The Townie Go has swept-back handlebars, a cushioned saddle, and a relaxed riding position that takes virtually all pressure off your wrists and lower back. The Hyena rear hub motor provides gentle assist that suits the laid-back character of the bike perfectly. This is not a machine designed to get you anywhere fast. It is designed to make every single minute of the ride genuinely enjoyable. And sometimes that is exactly the right priority. Number 7. Bafang-powered priority. Embark Priority. Cycles is a brand that deserves considerably more attention than it typically receives. Their Embark model is designed from the ground up for low-maintenance, comfortable riding, and the combination of components they have put together is thoughtful in a way that reflects genuine understanding of what everyday riders actually need. The belt drive system eliminates chain maintenance. The internal gear hub means you never have to think about derailleur adjustments or shifting under load. The upright geometry and wide, comfortable saddle mean you get on the bike and immediately feel settled rather than perching uncomfortably while you wait to find your position. For a rider who wants an e-bike they can genuinely just ride without fussing over mechanical details, the Embark makes a compelling case. Number 8. Giant Explorer E Plus 2. Giant is one of the largest bicycle manufacturers on the planet, which means their quality control and component sourcing operate at a scale that smaller brands simply cannot match. The Explorer E Plus 2 benefits from that institutional knowledge in every element of its construction. The Sync Drive Sport motor co-developed with Yamaha is powerful, smooth, and has a track record of reliability that gives long-term ownership confidence. The ride control display is clear and easy to operate with gloved hands, which matters more than you might think once autumn arrives and you want to keep riding into the cooler months. The geometry is upright and comfortable, the suspension fork handles road imperfections competently, and the overall build quality feels like it will hold up to years of regular use without demanding constant attention. For riders who want a solid, reliable, well-engineered bike from a brand with genuine manufacturing depth behind it, the Explorer E Plus 2 is a seriously strong option. Number 9. Tern GSD S10. Now the Tern GSD is a little different from everything else on this list and deserves a special mention for a specific type of rider. If you live somewhere where you might occasionally need to carry a passenger, a grandchild, significant groceries, or gear for a weekend trip, the GSD is in a category almost by itself. This is a compact cargo e-bike, shorter than a standard bike but engineered to carry extraordinary loads safely. The dual battery option provides a range that makes longer utility rides completely realistic. The low step-through makes it accessible regardless of flexibility, and the wide, stable platform gives it a planted confidence that taller bikes sometimes lack. For the rider over 60 who wants one machine that handles both fitness riding and practical day-to-day transport, the GSD is a remarkably thoughtful solution. Number 10. Ride Nut Prodigy Step-Through. Yes, the Prodigy appeared on our recall list video, and yes, we are recommending it here because a recall that has been fully remedied is not a reason to write off a fundamentally excellent bike. The Ride One Up Prodigy Step-Through is one of the best value mid-drive comfort e-bikes available in America today once your unit has been verified and cleared. The Bafang M500 mid-drive motor with torque sensing delivers exactly the kind of natural responsive assist that makes comfort riding feel effortless rather than mechanical. The step-through frame is genuinely low to the ground. The upright geometry keeps you comfortable on extended rides, and Ride 'N Up prices this bike in a range that makes quality mid-drive assist genuinely accessible without requiring a second mortgage. Just verify your serial number first. We covered exactly how to do that in our recall video. Do not skip that step. The things nobody tells you before you buy all right. So before you go ahead and spend your money, there are a few things worth knowing that most buying guides quietly skip over. First, test ride if you possibly can. Geometry specs on a website will tell you some of what you need to know. Your body after 10 minutes on the bike will tell you everything else. Local bike shops that carry e-bikes will often let you take a brief test ride. Rad Power has physical locations in several cities. Some brands offer return windows that effectively function as extended test rides. Use every opportunity available to actually sit on the bike before committing. Second, consider the weight of the bike carefully. E-bikes are heavier than conventional bikes because of the motor and battery. Most comfort e-bikes weigh somewhere between 50 and 70 pounds. That is manageable when you are riding, but significant if you need to carry the bike upstairs, load it into a vehicle, or maneuver it in a tight storage space. If weight is a concern, look specifically at brands that have prioritized lighter builds and think carefully about where and how you will store the bike before purchasing. Third, think about servicing. An e-bike is a mechanical and electrical system that will eventually need maintenance. Buying from a brand with a local dealer network means you have somewhere to take it when that day comes. Buying purely online from a brand with no physical presence means you are depending on your own mechanical ability or shipping the bike somewhere when something needs attention. Neither approach is wrong, but go in with your eyes open about what you are signing up for. And fourth, do not underestimate the value of a good fitting. Many bike shops offer professional bike fitting services that adjust the saddle height, handlebar position, and stem length to match your specific body dimensions. On a comfort bike, this investment pays back every single ride. My grandfather rode that e-bike for 6 more years after my cousin showed it to him. 6 years of morning rides, of coffee stops, of coming home flushed and happy and talking about what he had seen out there. He got to have 6 more years of something he thought was finished. That is what a good e-bike can do. Not just for bodies that need a little extra support, but for lives that are richer with riding in them than without. If you are over 60 and you have been talking yourself out of getting back on a bike or convincing yourself that your cycling days peaked somewhere in your 40s, we are here to tell you directly that you are wrong about that. The bikes on this list exist specifically to meet you where you are and take you further than you thought you could go. The technology is there. The options are better than they have ever been. The only thing left is for you to go find the one that fits your body, your budget, and the kind of riding that makes you feel like yourself again. Leave a comment below telling us where you ride and what you are looking for in an e-bike. We read every single one, and we would genuinely love to hear from you. Hit the like button, subscribe if this was useful, and we will see you in the next one where we are getting into exactly how to dial in your e-bike fit so that every ride feels as good as the first one.